to an inside job. It's going to be a series on addiction. This is the second episode. I want to thank LA TV once again. They're great. As soon as I asked Carl, the executive director, about this, he said yes within 3 minutes. I think it's necessary as one part of this whole epidemic that's going on. So with that said, I want to introduce Kathy Schultz Lee, and she's a good friend of mine. I just about grew up with her brother, and so here we go. Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning, Ron. Thank you.
Yeah, we've talked about this. So you were very courageous to come on here, and as you had just said, if it can only help one person, and it's going to. The first episode went out to a lot of people, and it's great. So let us begin. Your age?
I'm 63.
63 years old, and she looks 50.
Well, that will get you on the show.
Okay, so we'll talk about your addiction. What age did you begin?
I was 13 years old when I first had a drink, and I don't know. I had no reason to drink, except I was with my dad, and he pulled at the raffle. My number came up, and it was a half a gallon of Seagram 7. My dad went in the garden to do gardening, and I proceeded to open it, and I had 2 water glasses full. That's a lot when you're 13.
Yeah.
And I got really sick and really drunk, and never have drank Seagram 7 again. That's the only good thing that came out of that.
And you were all by yourself drinking?
I was alone in the kitchen, and my sister was in the living room with her boyfriend at the time.
Okay.
And yeah, it was the dumbest thing I had done, but I did it. Don't know why, I just did it. My parents don't drink.
Did you like it?
No, I didn't like how I felt at all. I mean, I felt so different and sick, but I drank again, when I was 16.
16?
Yeah.
So
but
you didn't drink for 3 years.
Oh, no, I didn't drink a lot ever in high school. I was too scared of my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, she petrified me, so no, I did all my drinking, actually, when I left New England and went to California.
Okay.
And I was in my 20s then.
All right.
So, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So you started with alcohol?
I did.
Okay.
And I smoked pot, a couple times. Never really liked it. I just didn't like the feeling. It made me too uncomfortable. I didn't want to go outside. I felt stupid, and all I did was laugh.
Yeah.
So I did that anyway, easy. So I really just didn't love it, but I did find other things that I liked.
Yes. All right. We'll proceed.
Right.
How old were you when you knew you had a problem?
Well, I always thought there was something different with me. I knew when I started drinking wine that I loved it. I loved it, and I knew if I drank too much of it, I would act different than I normally would, and maybe embarrass myself and probably the person I was with. So I kind of watched my amount of drinking, and then there was a time after when I hit my 40s, and my life just went to hell, sort of. Excuse me, but it did, and I just really couldn't stop at that point.
So what age do you think when you knew you had a problem?
I knew I had a problem, I'd say, in my late 30s. I mean, I thought about it to myself many times. I wasn't going to admit it, but I knew that I definitely probably should address it, but I just wasn't ready to.
Okay. All right. Reason for getting sober and clean?
My main reason was my 3 sons. There was no doubt in my mind at that point that I had to do something drastic, and they meant more to me than anything. And my life had fallen apart enough, and their life was falling apart. And as a mother, there is no bigger pain in the world than seeing your own children being hurt by not only what I was doing, but I couldn't, at that point, I knew I had to jump in with, 2 feet and head first and try to help my children. And I think I was too late, I really, really do. At that point, I was divorced. It was ugly, and my life had turned from being on top of the world to just wanting to crawl in the sand. And I couldn't do that anymore because I was responsible as a mother, and I loved my children enough where I would have done anything, And like I don't know if I mentioned, but I have 3 sons, and
What's the ages, Kathy?
right now their ages, 36, Eric is 36, Bryce is 32, he was 32 in March, and Kurt is 28.
Okay. But when this all
when it
was,
started?
when it was happening, how old the children were?
They were a lot younger than I knew. Like I was blinded. I wasn't, but I didn't want to believe it. I was very lucky to be financially all set, and I kind of abused it and gave them money when I should have said no, because apparently they were doing whatever the heck they wanted, and I was a little selfish at this point, and they just went wild. California is a great place to do it, and they did, and they were like the rich little kids, and they abused it a lot. And they were, I found out that my youngest was 11, or even maybe earlier when he first got high. And his brothers did that. They got him high. And
On what?
I guess it must have been crystal meth.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, they all, and I did ask my middle son last night if it was all right if I mentioned his name, and he said by all means. So Bryce did say that pot, he thinks, does lead to other things, and they all started with pot. Yeah, and then it progressed fast, I guess, for them, and they all became, junkies and addicted to crystal meth.
At what age did, okay, let's move on a little with the prison and all that, okay? It's important, I believe, that we talk about this.
Okay, all my sons actually got in trouble at one point. My oldest son got in the least amount of trouble. I don't know if he was the least amount addicted, but I think he might have been a little older and wiser. And he got out of trouble. He only went to jail for 1 night. And my middle son, because of his addiction, was so heavy and expensive. And my youngest son, Kurt, was with his brother a lot. And so that they drove together, I guess. And they, I believe, Bryce's first arrest happened when he was 16. He got in trouble at 16, maybe even 15. He started acting out, and I didn't understand why. He seemed angry, but I found out that they all were very young, and the first time Bryce was seriously arrested, he was 18, and Kurt was with him, and Kurt was 16. And Bryce got arrested for stealing and a terrible amount of stuff, because he almost got 25 to life, and he did get 8 years in prison, in federal prison, and he's been to many places in California. And my youngest son, because he was with him, got 3 years. So that's every mother's dream.
And you had just explained to me what it was like for you to see them before they were going.
Oh, well, I was living on the East Coast at the time. I had moved back here because I I couldn't take any more of it. I had spent so much money on attorneys, and any rehab I put them in, they would leave and just get high anyway. So I kind of gave up. And then, unfortunately, I think stress does this to you. I got breast cancer, and I had 2 years sober at the time. In the year 2000, I got sober, and it was 2002 when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I said, you know, I'll go through this, and I had a wonderful job in California. I was an assistant for a big celebrity, and I flew through my cancer, but I just knew that they were getting worse. So I left. I went back to visit, this is where I'm from, and I came back to my own family, and that's when I got the verdict that Bryce got 8 years. And, you know, I'll never forget it. I just kind of fell on the floor. It was so heart-wrenching. And, you know, I knew I needed to go back and say goodbye to them. So I flew back to Los Angeles. I wanted to be there when they had the verdict and in Van Nuys court, and I was there, and I'll just never forget it, you know, to see my 2 sons come out, handsome, handsome kids, did wonderful in school up until the point of the drugs, and they're shackled and handcuffed to each other. I mean, it was beyond words. Yeah. I just stood there and went, oh my God. You know, it was so surreal, and like I said, if I can just help one person maybe today and let them know that never give up, you know, don't lose hope on your children, and don't give up on yourself, you know. I mean, you know, the one thing about this disease is that you beat yourself up for so long, and it's wonderful because I'm in the program and I've been in it for a very long time, and it saved my life. I mean, literally saved my life. Not only did it get me through the 8 years of doing the best I could with letters and trying to make Bryce comfortable where he was, and he used in jail many times. I had to send money when he said that if it wasn't paid that he would be killed. I mean, anyway, you know, I just kept going to meetings, and I kept talking to people that gave me enough support so I could get through another day. You know, I was blessed. I have a very good support system here. My mother was an incredible shoulder for me to lean on, and I have a great sister who has never left my children's side ever. She has helped them probably more than she even knows. Judy is brilliant, and she's a teacher, and she's an RN, and I'm just so proud of her. And she just never had children of her own, so she kind of adopted all her nieces and nephews. And because of me being single, my sister and I have always been so close that, well, I don't know what I would have done without her, to be honest with you. And I have a brother that's great. He's in the program. You know, we've had our troubles through the years, but if he can stay in this program and do this, anybody can. You know, and they've been great, just people for me to lean on. I am so blessed. I really am, with friends like you, and what a gift, you know. I mean, as bad as it all is, it all works out. You know, I believe in God. I do. And there's a higher power that has helped me through everything. You know, I mean, I've had a lot of things happen, but everyone does, you know. Some people have more than others, and but I'd like to think that, you know, it's all kind of worked out. You know, Bryce just got out of a great rehab, and now is working there and is doing really well. He got engaged not too long ago, and an amazing facility in Malibu. They sent me out there even, and they paid for my trip to go for a parent weekend. What an amazing program that is. And they took Bryce in for free. And
may I ask
yes,
how long he is sober?
Right now, Bryce has got 6 months again.
6 months.
Again.
And he just was let go of prison for the 8 years.
Yes.
When?
Over a year ago.
Okay.
He was released in March. over a year ago, and Bryce did pretty good, but he did not want to get into the program the way he knew he should. I mean, let's face it, you're behind the wall for more than half your life, actually, you know, think of it. I mean, he was 16 when this all started, and he's 32 now. So he celebrated a year at home. I mean, this is actually Bryce's first year he's been home for Christmas and Mother's Day and Thanksgiving in like 10 years. You know, that he's a young kid. So, you know, they say when you start using, your brain kind of stays at that age. So Bryce is virtually only like 19.
Yeah.
You know, kind of acts it sometimes, but he's doing a lot better. He's a great guy, very bright. And, you know, I know if I wasn't in this program, I just want to say that it's very important that none of my kids, I don't think, would be alive. I really, really don't. Yeah. Because if I didn't give them the strength that mothers give their children, and it's a bond that we have with our children, especially, I think, a son to a mother. There's something special about it. And because I was divorced when my youngest son was 1 year old, Mickey left the house. And that was really hard on my children, you know. It was a very tough time, and I held on to them really tight. And sometimes you just, instead of like letting them grow and develop into young men, you know, one thing I do want to say too is don't be your children's friend. Like I really, you know, there was a time when I wanted to be their friend. They didn't need a friend as a mother. They needed a mother. So that's another thing that may help somebody if you're feeling guilty about anything. Yeah. You know?
How are the two other boys doing right now?
My oldest son is doing great. Eric has been married, it'll be 3 years. And he just had a son, a beautiful little boy. Mason was born Christmas Eve morning. And so he's going to be 5 months. And Bryce just got engaged, and that was wonderful when I was out there visiting. And Kurt, my youngest son, has been married a year, and he's doing great. He doesn't use any drugs at all. He's married to a girl that just would never put up with it. But you know, I'm like I said, I'm blessed. I have 2 wonderful daughter-in-laws and another good one on the way, it looks like. So I mean, you know, how wonderful is my life now compared to what I felt like, you know, 10 years ago. Yeah.
The other 2 boys, do they attend AA or NA?
Eric did for a while, but Eric is a very strong person, and he dove himself into a lot of work. He works for his father's company, and he's very busy, and then he got this wonderful girlfriend that has never done, I don't think she's ever even been drunk in her life, never mind drugs. So, you know, and they're very into sports, my kids, you know, so they've been very blessed with a father that's been able to do a lot of great things with them, and so they've had a really good life. Kurt, he did go to the program for a while because Kurt was in prison for 3 years too. Right. And he did attend meetings in there. He's, you know, he says he doesn't love them, but he knows how good they've done for me, so you know, he's proud of me for what I've done, you know.
A question just came to mind.
Yeah.
In your opinion, but also in their opinion, and I'm sure you've talked about it, how much help did they get with their drug addiction in jail?
None, I don't think.
None.
None. None. It's a sin. It's an absolute tragedy. You know, they're put into this facility, and you know, I know it's not a place where I would want anybody to go, especially your own children. But the stories I've heard, I mean, they get the best drugs in jail. Yeah, and they come right from the guards. Yep. And the police, they don't even look at anything because guess why? They make money in there. Right. Yeah, and Bryce has told me it's an ongoing train that never stops. Yeah. Yeah, it's nothing that I'm happy about. I'd love to see something done about that. I really would.
And I asked the question to myself, and I talked about it a little last week. that is a sin
Yeah.
to do 8 years of your
Yeah,
life.
I know.
You went in because you're an addict.
That's right.
And it took over your life.
Yeah.
And you had to steal because you're an
Yeah.
addict.
Yeah.
And you go in
Yeah.
without.
Yeah.
And I've gone into a lot of the prisons
Yeah.
to speak for AA more than NA. And I don't know, it's just beyond me.
It is. My sister was trying to facilitate something because as Judy is a teacher and she researched everything, she was blown away how many times that she had sent in letters and never one response. And you know, we would put money on their books and much money was sent in.
Right.
And we don't know what happened to a lot of it.
Yeah.
You know, things were taken away. And I really do believe, and I hate to, they know when children have rich, you know, backgrounds.
Yeah.
They do. There's a little bit more happening there, which I find appalling, actually. You know, I'm just glad that he's made it through and got out and in one piece.
Yeah,
More or less, you know.
Yeah.
I'm grateful he never got hurt in there, you know, or anything like that. But he definitely did get used quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he told me.
The system is failing, and it's been failing, and we just keep throwing them in.
I know.
And throwing them in.
I know.
Throwing them in.
It's awful.
And nothing.
Why don't they have a place that they can, you know, work on their addiction?
Right.
You know, and if they did that, then they could see what these children are bright children. Most of them are. Bryce was like a straight A student. You know, scholarship to college, and everything just went, you know.
Yeah.
And it's too bad because, you know, he did take some, he went and he's good on a computer.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, they should have college courses and all that kind of stuff, you know, for them to learn at least something or a trade
In
or
recovery.
something. That's right.
And how to live
when they
once
get
you
out.
get out.
Because they don't know. It's
8 years.
8 years behind. We were afraid that it would happen, that he would relapse, and he did.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's like being thrown to the wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
And it, of course, and I also said it last week, it all comes back to money.
It does.
It all comes back to money.
Always.
And you don't get me started on the private prison, privatized prison.
Yeah.
It's money, and anyway,
Yeah.
I want to go back to 2000. You're sober in 2000. 2002, you had breast cancer.
Right.
You went through that.
Yeah.
How long of a period did you stay
In California?
clean? No, clean,
okay.
sober.
Yeah, a very long time. I did wonderful for years, and then, like they say, you start getting too busy for your own disease. You know, you feel good, you're busy, you know, you got a job, and you're comfortable again, and you're running around, and you're forgetting that what's most important in your life, and that's being clean and sober. To me, if I'm not, then nothing else is going to work out.
Right.
You know?
So no more AA or NA.
Well, I haven't spent too much time in NA. I've been to a few meetings because of Bryce and stuff, and it seemed like it wasn't for me as much as AA.
Right.
And I'm a firm believer in Al-Anon myself. It's a wonderful program.
Point.
Yeah.
Wonderful point.
Yeah, it really is. They call them the Sisters of the Revolution if you're in AA. But
yeah. Amen.
it's absolutely imperative if you have children or your partner has an addiction. It just helps you cope and enjoy your life, because there's nothing. And it really helped me a lot because, you know, I blamed myself. I was, what did I do? You know what? After a while, you go, you know what? I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I didn't make him do that. You know.
Right.
But
how long did you?
15 years.
15 years.
15 years.
But how many years had you not gone to?
It wasn't that I stopped going to meetings altogether. It was that I had weaned down. I used to go to at least 1 or 2 meetings a day.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of meetings. In the beginning, when I wasn't working, I went to 3 meetings when I first started in 2000 because I wasn't working at the time, and I know, and it was such a great time for me. I mean, I was happy again, and I knew what was wrong with me, and I knew what to do about it. And my whole attitude changed, you know?
How long was it that you could see yourself sliding, or maybe you couldn't see yourself sliding?
Well, obviously, it was definitely, I took a back seat a little bit. AA took a back seat.
Right.
And I believe it was about over a year ago. I relapsed about, I'd say, 16 months ago, 17 months ago.
And that was after the 15 years.
Yes. Yep.
And you picked up a
Yep.
substance, and it is, we've talked about it before, but it is for you, it's the booze,
Yep.
but it's also, and I believe you said you like the ups, the speeds.
Yes, I do.
The Coke.
Yes.
Yes.
I liked speed. Actually, you know, it was big years ago in the 70s. There was speed was everywhere, and I worked for. I'm a dental assistant, and I did that for 15 years. And I also was a cocktail waitress. So you're working in the morning and you're working at night, and your boyfriend owns the place, and you go out after because you're young, you know. So I needed something to keep me going, and I don't know if anyone knows, but there, you know, Crossroads were real big in those times.
Yeah. I
And so
remember.
I was real busy with just working way too much, and well, when you're young, you can do it. You can do it. You know,
Okay.
that's all.
We're getting close. We have 3 minutes,
Oh.
and it's been great.
Yeah.
But I just want to go back to it again. You had the 15 years.
Yeah.
You started sliding.
Yeah.
You picked up
I'll tell you.
17 months ago.
It'll be, I almost have 18 months again. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you what happened real fast. I decided to get a little part-time job at the winery in Bolton.
This is a funny story.
Yeah, this is a
Or
funny
not
story.
not funny.
And of course, they asked me to be in the tasting room, and I was in a wine club in Calabasas, in California. I spent a lot of time at the wineries in Napa Valley, and Mick and I were really big on wine. So I decided, well, why not? You know, I'll just do a weekend job. And of course, it was the holidays, and I met some wonderful people, and one afternoon on Sunday, she said, you know, the estate vigneault, we have a lot of extra. Does anyone want to try a little? And I'm thinking, oh, what's a sip? You know, so anyway, I had a sip, and then the next Sunday I had a half a glass, and it went fast, you know, and the week after that I had a whole glass, and then I'm like, I'm kind of drunk. And now I have to tell everyone I've got to start all over. And I was mad at myself. That's what I was. And I realized, you know what, Kathy? Once you're an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. The progression, it can go really fast. And my thinking got changed. It changed right away. And I didn't want that for myself. So I got right back into it. And I've been very vigilant about my disease again. And I'm so happy I am.
I remember when you first came back,
Yeah.
or shortly after that, I walked in the meeting and you were sitting on the steps upstairs at the UU Church.
Oh, yes.
You don't look like that anymore.
Yeah.
You looked beat up.
Oh.
Beat up.
Yep.
And you're beaming.
Oh, yeah.
You're beaming now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're there every day.
Oh yeah,
I don't know
love
where
it. I
else,
love
but-
it. I love it again. You know,
Yeah.
you have to be enthusiastic about your disease, because what a gift! I mean, you can't go anywhere and just go to a meeting and leave and feel so good. I mean, therapy didn't do it for me. You know, prescriptions don't do it for you. You know, I mean, friendship and you know, God and family and just the camaraderie of everybody, and it's just an amazing program. I just wish that people could get it more. If they're not an
Right.
alcoholic, go to Al-Anon.
See, we both understand that it's a program of recovery.
Right.
We're getting better, and I have gotten better.
Oh, yeah.
But I had a very low point at which to start with, and So that's why I
Yeah.
attend, and it's been, you know, it's been 34 years, and you,
Yeah.
a big part of your life.
Yeah, big part.
And 99% of the people that I see, and usually that they, you know, that go back out, they stop going to meetings.
That's
There
right.
are some other, number two is probably being busy.
That's
you know,
it.
takes
Yep.
over,
Yep.
you forget,
Yep.
and boom,
Yep.
you're right back in.
Right back
and
in,
then I've watched the in the beginning the relationships, but see, everybody knows. Everybody knows, and they're going to do what they're going to do. And
That's
I,
right.
you know, I have experienced that myself. Also, I
course.
guess we got to wrap it up.
All
It was
right.
wonderful,
Oh,
Kathy.
thank you. It was
I wanted you to be
wonderful.
the first one, and we've talked about
Oh,
it.
thank
and
you
it,
so
it was
much.
it was great,
It was awesome.
and it was a lot easier than last week.
Oh.
So that's it.
Yeah,
Thanks for watching. Thank you. Kathy is very courageous for you to sit down and say some of the things we had.
Happy to do it.
So we'll be doing it again
Wonderful.
with some other people, and I had fun, and
I did
Kathy
too.
had fun.
Thank you.
So take care. I'll see you again.